right. So tonight's coffee with the counselor is confidence and self-esteem. So thank you everybody for being here. Appreciate you coming by on a Wednesday night and spending some time with me. So we're just gonna jump right in. So confidence and self-esteem, they are not the same. They're related concepts, but they are different. And so confidence is a feeling of self-assurance rising from one's appreciation of your own abilities or qualities. So basically, do you think that you're good at things? Do you think that you can succeed? Do you think that you're competent? And then self-esteem is more being confident in your worth, in your abilities. It's do I like myself? Do I like who I am? And self-esteem can be related to different components. So we might have self-esteem that's related to just our body or just about our abilities or just about our personality. And so there are different components to that, but they're very interrelated. So if we even if you have low self-esteem, you might still be confident in some areas. You might really be confident that you can succeed in math, but you might have low self-esteem when it comes to interacting with peers. So they're different but related. And then we think of indicators of self-esteem. We think of the two ends of the spectrum. We think of low self-esteem and then high self-esteem. And so we've got some opposites here. So low self-esteem, you have a hard time accepting feedback. You take it as criticism, as an attack. Whereas someone with high self-esteem, they're not threatened by it. They accept it and they look to how they can use it. Low self-esteem, you might have trouble setting boundaries. So maybe you can't, say to your friends, I really don't like it when you talk about X, Y, or Z. Please stop. Or I need a break right now. Whereas someone with high self-esteem can set those boundaries and can say, I really like it if you don't talk about these things, or, I do need some time to myself. People with low self-esteem are often people pleasers, and they just can't say no. Whereas someone with high self-esteem has no problem. Again, that relates back to those boundaries. If you have low self-esteem, you often have fear of failure. So you might be scared to try new things because you don't want to fail, because your self-esteem is already low and you don't want to take another blow. And if you have low self-esteem, you can't express your needs. You can't take up space in a relationship. Whereas if you have high self-esteem, you're able to do that. Again, it kind of comes back to those boundaries. And then if you have low self-esteem, you think that other people are better, and you probably compare yourself a whole lot. But someone with high self-esteem can accept who they are. So then we want to, as the adults in our kids' lives, we want to set a culture of confidence for them. We want to give opportunities for our students or for our kids to learn and try new things. It makes them feel capable when they learn something and accomplish it. Exploring their own interests can help them develop a sense of identity. And when you have an identity, that builds your confidence. If you try guitar and then you're good at it, and then you can say, I'm a musician, I'm competent at that, and then it builds that self-esteem. And it's also important, especially when we're introducing our kids to new things, that we let them fail. Because if we swoop in all the time and try to do things for them or try to protect them from failure, it's sending the message that we don't think that they're capable. And then it's also preventing them from learning that if they fail, life goes on. It doesn't let them realize that you can make a mistake and you just problem solve it. And that's actually a really good process and part of growing. And it really doesn't help kids who have a fear of failure if you're constantly protecting them from failing. And then you want to make sure that you're giving your kid age appropriate responsibilities. We want some chores around the house, things that are reasonable for them to be able to do. Because kids feel like they're connected, and they feel like they're valuable members of the family when they're counted on. And that can help boost their confidence and boost their self-esteem. You want to avoid comparing your kids to other siblings or to their peers. That's kind of obvious. And then you want to model positive self-esteem, positive self-talk, and how to accept a compliment. So we're always modeling, and our kids are always listening, and they're always looking to see how the adults in their lives handle things. And it's totally fine to speak out loud when you make a mistake, owning it, and just turning it into an opportunity to problem solve. I've had repeated opportunities to do that this week with kids with technology issues. I'm trying new things out and then it doesn't always work. And it's a great time for me to think out loud that process of, well, I tried it, it didn't work. I'm going to problem solve it. It's okay. We're going to get through the lesson. For them to hear how I process that, to see I'm not falling down, I'm not crumbling, I'm not going to cry. It's not the end of the world that I mess something up. Mistakes are normal. And I think that accepting compliments is a really, really good skill. A lot of people, especially women, will brush off compliments. You get a compliment on doing a great job. Oh, it's just, it's something that I do all the time, so it's no big deal. Or, oh, I really like that dress. Oh, well, it's an old dress, or it's not the greatest. Accepting compliments is really important to confidence and self-esteem. And then some other tips for establishing a culture of confidence. You want to make sure to explain that nobody's perfect. It's just not attainable. And especially when it comes to social media, it's depending on the age. If you've got the middle schoolers, it's totally appropriate to get into the conversation about how images and personas are doctored. And, we see what people want us to see. Younger kids, you can change that conversation around a little bit. But we want our kids to realize that imperfections are great, and it's what makes us all unique and special. We want to make sure that we're encouraging and modeling self-compassion, just being kind to ourselves, going easy on ourselves when we have a bad day or when something isn't up to our own standards. And then we want to make sure to be pointing out to our kid why we're thankful for them. If we're constantly reminding them, not just on bad days, but on the good days too, then that will help kind of develop that inner voice. Hopefully that'll reassure your child of their value, and then they'll start to internalize that. Some other strategies, these are things that are kind of culture building. Ask your kid on a regular basis to share one thing they're proud of. It can be a dinner time tradition. It can be a bedtime tradition. Just like, what's one thing that you're proud of? What's one thing that you did well today? And help your kid make a list of their strengths. It's something that I do in some of my lessons, and I ask kids, when's the last time you sat and listed off the things that you're good at? The last week, the last month, the last year. And I've had some kids last year in 5th grade who were like, never. And so we want them to intentionally sit and think about all of the things that they're good at, to help build that self-esteem and that confidence. Remind them, like, there are things that you do well, even if you have a bad day, even if something goes wrong, you are still competent, you are still valuable. So some other tips for confidence and self-esteem. This is kind of tied into some of the others that I mentioned already, but you want to encourage a growth mindset. So teach your kid that they can grow their abilities and their intelligence. And it's directly related to their hard work and effort. That's that phrase, practice makes perfect. That is growth mindset, as opposed to a fixed mindset where we have kids who think like, I don't get it now, so I'll never get it. You can point out if you have a kid who's having a hard time mastering something, well, can you think of something else that was really hard at first? The first time you tried to ride a bike without training wheels, did you think that was going to be super easy, or did you think that was impossible? And did you actually get there? You can point out there are challenges that you have made it through. You learn all the time, you grow all the time. You just need to keep putting hard work in. Also, by the way, anytime you see I'm linked, you will be getting a copy of the slide deck later this week, and all of those resources that are labeled linked, you will be able to access a digital version of. So then also in encouraging a growth mindset, just remind your kid to work through their struggles. Don't give up. Failures are a chance to learn and to grow. Problem solving is a really helpful skill. We all get discouraged, but we can tell ourselves, you know, that this isn't the end. I haven't figured it out yet. It's all about the phrasing, and that word "yet" is really powerful when it comes to growth mindset. For younger kids, there's a really, really cute Sesame Street video with Janelle Monáe. That's the power of "yet" that you can watch. Really catchy, and it's just a really good message. You know, if you take a negative thought and you just put "yet" on the end of it, it changes it around and it opens up a whole new world of possibilities, and opens the door for that self-esteem to continue to grow and that confidence to build. Another strategy is strategic praise. So, as I mentioned earlier, we want to be we want to be saying encouraging things to our kids. We want them to internalize that and incorporate it into their inner voice. And so praise is really important, but we really need to be strategic about it. We don't want it to be superficial. We don't want it to be we're just throwing praise at our kids for everything, you know, all day long. So we want to make sure that it's for something that deserves praise, and we want to make sure that we're praising the right things. So we want to praise effort. So not just the outcome. Oh, you got a good grade. You got an A. We want to praise, you worked really, really hard on that. I can tell that you put a lot of time and effort. You know, you were really organized as you were working on this project. And then we want to praise personal qualities and characteristics. That was really kind of you. You know, it was really compassionate that you were there for your friend. And now we don't, and I'm not saying not to comment on appearance, but we don't want that to be the only thing that a kid gets a compliment on, right? We want them to know that they're, again, in line with the growth mindset, that their effort and their input are what's the most important. We don't want value to be tied to outcomes. And so a good example is if your kid plays baseball or softball and they lose, you can still praise them and say something like, I really love how you worked really hard the whole game. You didn't get discouraged when you were losing. And I'm really proud of you for staying positive and cheering your teammates on. We can still praise even when there's a bad situation. We had a question, examples of what to say when sometimes they're too confident with something that it leads to bragging, especially when talking to someone outside the family. I think that those are really good conversations to have after the fact, when you can deep dive into it a little bit more and encourage some perspective taking. So how do you think it felt for the other person that was there to hear that? What do you think might have gone through their head when they heard you say that? And, you know, depending on the age of the kid, you can practice so this is what you said. Can you think of a different way to say it that maybe wouldn't have led to hurt feelings in somebody else, or however, you know, whatever the problem outcome might have been. You know, you can practice coming up with different ways to say things. But I think if we encourage that empathy, that perspective taking, it can help make the kids realize that it turns into bragging. And it's great to feel proud, but we never want to do it at the expense of making somebody else feel bad. Hopefully that's helpful. Another strategy for boosting self-esteem and confidence is to challenge negative self-talk. So if you attended I think this was from the anxiety presentation I did, I talked about how our thoughts, feelings, and our behaviors are all related. And that's a cognitive behavioral approach for anyone who is interested in psychology. So what we think will affect what feelings we have, and it also affects our behavior, and they just go in this circle. So we've got a good example here of how self-esteem might come into play in a situation. So we've got the situation is the girls were thinking different things when they saw the other girls whispering. And so the girl on the left thought, well, they're talking about me behind my back, which made her feel angry, which means that she stopped working and then she yelled at them. So we could guess that she has lower self-esteem. She's concerned, she's worried that they're criticizing her, she's taking it personally. And then the girl on the right is thinking, I don't know what they're talking about. It's not important. She's confident enough in herself that she's not worried about if someone else is saying something negative about her. So she stays calm. She feels okay. She keeps working. And so, those are going to be related. And as the girl on the left gets angry and she yells, she's going to hurt that relationship with those other kids, and they might not be as likely to want to come and play with her. And so then maybe they will actually start to whisper, like, oh my gosh, she was just yelling. And then she'll start to think, oh, they are talking. And it becomes this circle. And so we want to challenge that negative self-talk, because it can quickly bleed into how we feel and what we do. So some examples: some people like me, some people don't, and that's okay. Oh, I did red and green backwards on that one. Nobody likes me, everybody hates me. We see that they're very different. And there's going to be a bad day where your normally bright, cheery kid is like, oh, everything has gone wrong, and everybody hates me. But for the kid who's always saying the negative thing, we want to catch it, and we want to point out, like, that's actually not true. Like, not everybody hates you. This is just a day where maybe everybody else had something else going on. Maybe they already made plans, and just changing that self-talk. Changing I'm not good at anything to I'm not great at everything, but I'm good at some stuff and I'm getting better at other things. We can hear that growth mindset in there, like acknowledging that I'm getting better, that this is a process. And again, because our thoughts and our feelings and our behaviors are so linked together, changing that negative self-talk can be really important. If you're going to say I'm not good at anything, you're probably going to give up before you even try. If I'm not good at anything and I hear that there are tryouts for the fall play, I'm probably not even going to try out. But if I think, I'm not great at everything, but like I can work hard and get better, maybe I'll actually try out. Maybe I'll get in. Maybe I'll find out that I loved it, and I'll do every play from now until eternity. So changing that self-talk opens up a lot of possibilities. And then similar to self-talk, we have affirmations. So affirmations are they are positive self-talk, but they're things that affirm you, that encourage you, and that build you up. And I absolutely love this video. I have shown it in lessons, and so I'm going to play it for you. Hopefully the sound works today.
Look at yourself. Look in your eyes. You gotta see it, okay? You gotta feel it. You ready? You ready for school? Yeah. Is it gonna be a good day? A really good day? You gonna be positive? Say, I am strong. I am strong. Say, I am smart. I am smart. Say, I work hard. I work hard. I am beautiful. I am beautiful. I am respectful. I am respectful. Yeah. Say, I'm not better than anyone. I'm not better than anyone. Nobody's better than me. No one's better than me. I am amazing. I am amazing. I am great. I am great. What's your name? Aaliyah Austin. If you fall, I get back up. What are you? I'm blessed. Yes. Say thank you, God. Thank you, God. For making me. For making me. The greatest. The greatest. There's nobody. There's nobody. Better. Better. Than me. Than me. All right, give me 5. Give me a kiss. Let's go.
I just love that video. It's every time it fills me with warmth. And just imagine how great every day is when that girl gets up and has that pep talk. I mean, what a great start to the day. What a boost in self-esteem. Just magical. And so you can work with your kid. You can help them come up with affirmations that they like, and you can help them use them throughout the day. You can make a poster together, like come up with a phrase that is their power phrase, and they can color it however they want and hang it up in their room. Write a bunch of affirmations on Post-it notes and sticker them around the mirrors. There are tons of art projects on Pinterest about making affirmation art for kids. You can even make a trading card and just keep it in their pocket. So that way they have it with them all the time. So the more those affirmations are repeated, again, the more they're going to become a part of your child's inner voice and boost that self-esteem and confidence. I want that pep talk every morning. Goal setting is another great skill because when we set and reach goals, it builds our confidence. But we want to make sure that goals are smart. So they have to be specific. Can someone else, my sentence got cut off. Can someone else tell what the goal is without you having to tell them? Is it measurable? Can you tell when your child has reached the goal? Is it attainable? Like, are they going to achieve it? Reading 1,000 books this year might not be attainable, but reading one a month, great. Is it relevant? Does it relate to something that the child actually wants to achieve or something that's important to them? And then is there a deadline? So setting a goal for anything, it can be school, it can be personal, it can be, sports related. Knowing that they can set a goal and achieve it is going to prove to them that they have abilities, that they have self-efficacy. So that was another linked resource. I have some more linked resources here for you. Again, to foster that self-talk, we've got that I am awesome because, I've sat with kids who can easily fill up 2-3 sheets of I am awesome because I have had kids that I've worked with that couldn't fill more than 2 bubbles on it. So every kid's different, but some kids really don't stop to think about their strengths. The U game is fun. I actually have been using it online. There are typos in there. I didn't make it, but it's a cute concept. And the Girls in the Game Girl Power Guide, we are actually partnering with Girls in the Game for a Thursday afternoon program. It's a 10-week session for 3rd through 8th grade girls. We've already had 2 sessions, but we've had very few girls in it. It's totally free. So if it's something that you would be interested in having your female identified daughter participate in, let me know and I can share the information. It seems great, and the couple of girls who are participating seem to like it. It's focused on leadership and sports and health. So, and that Girl Power Guide has pages of things for boosting confidence. And then I have some positive self-talk worksheets here for you. There's an article for building boys' self-confidence. I talked about self-compassion practices. That link is for the Greater Good in Action website, which is a great website for mindfulness practices. And they have 3 practices for self-compassion. And then I also have these 2 resources, the Dove brand, like Dove soap. They have their, their like community outreach project or whatever, along those lines, is about self-esteem and body image, body confidence. And so they have a school-based curriculum, and they also have a like 3 mini lessons. It's the Confident Me program that you could actually even go through at home. So I've linked to both of those. The Confident Me will take you to a Google Drive folder that has the guide and the 3 mini lessons. And then the Uniquely Me on the right is, I think it's like a 27-page document with a bunch of different resources in it. And so I think both of those are a little bit more tailored towards girls, which is a shame. I know that they've said that they're working to incorporate some more about boys' body confidence in their materials, but I'm not sure that they've gotten to that just yet. And that's it. So I will I'll open it up for questions. Let me come over here to the Q&A section. I don't see anything in there. So if anybody has any questions, feel free to type something in the chat or unmute yourself. My kids get immediately seriously frustrated when they make a mistake. We always emphasize effort and patience, but feel like it's hard in the moment to figure out what to do. Mm-hmm. Yeah, frustration is a really hard emotion. And I think that building in a pause and a cool down as much as possible is important. Again, modeling that thinking out loud. I've been doing that with every single mistake that I've made in remote learning, because I know that frustration is high with the kids. Um, and hopefully, if you're always emphasizing the effort, they'll start to incorporate that. But a little pause, a little calm down. Um, yeah, pause is definitely fine. When we talked, I'm pretty sure, I think that you were at the anxiety. We talked about flipping our lid. When we're frustrated, we get into fight or flight mode, and our amygdala flips open our prefrontal cortex. And so our amygdala is in charge of our emotions, and our emotions just kind of take over and get rid of all of our executive functioning skills. We're acting purely on instinct. And sometimes we need to just calm down. We need to take that break, step away, let our lid close back down, let our thinking brain turn back on, and then, approach the problem again. It's just, it feels kind of counterintuitive because we want to be problem solvers right away. I feel like we want to step in and we want to figure it out now. And I have gradually learned that sometimes the best thing is just like, you know what, you want to go play Uno? let's get you to come down a couple of degrees, and then we can talk about it with your thinking brain. One of the things we learned in the Tuesdays Child program is to focus on navigating the moment successfully when this happens, and return to the emotions and the why of it later when everyone is calmer. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's really good. Yeah. So closing the lid. So yeah, we think of our hand as the model of the brain, and so our thumb would be our amygdala, which is controlling our emotions, and then our prefrontal cortex is actually right here at the front, and that's what controls our executive functioning, all of our planning, time management, organization, like our rational thinking brain. And when we're in a fight or flight mode, our emotions just kind of kick off they flip our lid. And we are just run by our emotions. It's a survival instinct, right? We don't want to sit and calculate the like in the video that I showed, it was like, if there's a fire, you don't want to calculate how long it's going to take for the fire to expand to fill the whole room. You just want to get away. And so your thinking kind of just turns off. And so giving ourselves some time to process those feelings and come down, practicing some mindfulness or whatever calming or coping strategy works, can help you kind of exit that fight or flight process or state, and lets your lid come back down, so you've got your thinking brain back on, and then you can process the like Jacob said, like the why. You can rationally talk about things. What do you do with a perfectionist who doesn't want to try anything for fear of failing at everything? Perfectionism is hard. It really, if it has to be about safely and compassionately not letting them avoid every hard thing. And sometimes that can be, okay, let's sit down and we're going to talk together about a goal of yours. And you can lead this conversation too as the parent. If you know that there's like one thing that maybe they're really, really scared to try and they're really avoiding it, and you think that it would improve the quality of their life to work around it, work through that. You can pick that and kind of guide the conversation. So, I know that you really, really, really want to be able to walk to Stan's Donuts by yourself one day, but you're super scared of walking across Broadway. Wouldn't it be really nice? Like, think about how great it would be how for you to walk and meet your friends one day by yourself. And so let's come up with a ladder. Let's come up with some baby steps to get you there. So how about, we walk together one day? Maybe that can be our first baby step, or maybe, you practice walking just as far as like the halfway point by yourself. What if we start by actually like sitting and plotting, how long is that? And like how far have you gone before? And how is this one different? How does this compare? Just kind of baby stepping your way up to it can be helpful. Trying to think of, I've got other tips for perfectionism that I can look up and get back to you. I've got a really good infographic on it. But Yeah, really good question. Because if we let kids avoid everything, it makes their fear grow. And so we want to help them face it head on. Otherwise, it just becomes this overwhelming beast of a fear. And it's not letting them learn that they can do these hard things. Anybody else?
Hey, it's Erica. I was also gonna just say, for the perfectionism thing, as somebody who was like that as a child, I found that having a safe space to fail. So maybe if that's just like the parent, like being the only one in the room, or promising they're gonna, not come in while they practice a certain dance, or like giving them a private space to, like, whatever it is. Maybe they're trying to, learn something new, or do something, that they can kind of do in their own time, in their own privacy. Or find somewhere where they can, like, kind of take those kind of safe risks without being, maybe they're afraid of being laughed at, or getting a bad grade. Well, there's ways to do things when there's kind of no consequences whatsoever, So I always felt that finding a way to get practice for the things I was scared of failing at, because I thought I had to be perfect, from the gate out, was helpful.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, thank you. If you have a fear of talking in front of the class, well, okay, well, how about you start by talking in front of your stuffed animals, and then, give a presentation in front of your dog, and then can you give a presentation in the mirror in front of, your parents? Yeah, if it's a safe place before you get into the real scary situation. And then Jacob said, my son's not a perfectionist, but he can be resistant to try new things. And so I always try to help him plan for things, let him know what's coming, and let him know when and how. And if we can set up the expectation, that can be really helpful. So it's predictable. They know what to expect. They know what's coming. I found my perfectionist resource. Emphasize the fun, whatever fun or is of value, for facing that fear. Recognize negative thoughts, teach the power of yet, and encourage high standards and effort, not perfection. Yeah. All right, anybody else? I love all the input from all of you. Thank you for helping. We all have lived experience, and that's what's great about in these topics, is that I am an expert. I'm not the expert. You are all experts too, from your trial and error on these topics. So I appreciate you all sharing. Okay. Well, if nothing else, then thank you so much for coming. I will email out the deck with all the links and the video later this week. And I am planning some more. I'm partnering with a school counselor at another school, so that they can get in on the workshops too. So we're going to plan out our dates and our topics, and I will let you know what's coming next. So I'll see you all next time.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Great stuff.
Good to see you again.
Good to see you.
Have a good night.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.
Bye, guys. Nice to see you.
Bye-bye. Good night.
Bye.